and welcome to our fourth episode of the Legal Huddle.
Hello.
We're back.
We are back.
Different background, a little brighter, we'll see. But before we get into the episode about mentorship and LLPs and paralegals, let's talk about the draft a little bit. The draft was last week.
The draft was last weekend. Yes, yes. So, obviously, the best team in the league only had a few picks, 6 picks total.
Are you talking about the Packers
I
to
am
be the best
talking
team?
about the Packers.
I disagree.
Yeah. Well, of course you would disagree. But yeah, so we didn't have a first round pick because we gave that pick up in our trade to Dallas for Mike Parsons.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we didn't have a first round pick. So
Oh,
Thursday evening was very boring for me.
yeah.
And I knew that we would do what we always do in the draft and not move up.
Mm.
So so Thursday night was just a little boring for me. But yeah, just like everyone thought, Fernando Mendoza got picked number 1 overall, going to the Raiders. That was not a shocker.
That's what everybody was talking about too. Like,
Yeah,
that's just
yeah. I was really disappointed though for him. I mean, he knew he was going to be the number 1 pick. Why wasn't he there in person?
Mhm.
Like, I think that's disrespectful. If you're like a top
Mhm.
prospect, you should be there in person.
Yeah.
That's just my thought.
Yeah,
I mean, I
I
get
agree
that.
with that.
I get that he wanted his family there and stuff, but family's always at the draft. So
I don't know. That seems odd to me, but
yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens with the season. New quarterback out there. But
Well, but I don't even know what's going to happen because they picked up what's his name? Kirk Cousins in the
Yeah,
offseason.
they
So
did.
Kirk Cousins is probably going to be the starter.
Yes, I wondered about that.
So, which makes sense because they kind of pulled a Green Bay, if you will, by
Mhm.
drafting a quarterback that may not start right away, but will be able to learn from.
Way to set a precedent, Green Bay.
I'm just saying it works,
Yes,
right?
yes. I don't know about that.
Well, we have better luck with quarterbacks than you guys do.
Oh, well, we'll see this season. We have a wonderful Caleb Williams. We did not need a quarterback. Our draft was great. We had a few picks here, 6. Got a few.
You only had 6 as well?
Yeah, we only had 6. Yep.
That's 7.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, we did 2 in round 3. That's why. Okay, I can count. Fine, 7.
That's okay. That's okay.
That makes a lot more sense because 7 rounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we had some good ones. Our focus was mostly on kind of
Yours was a mixed bag, so you got both sides of the ball.
right. Just prioritizing our defense a little bit more and adding
Yeah.
some playmakers was kind of the deal here for us. I'm not sure if I'm, happy with all the picks, but most of them, we got Sam Roush from Stanford in our round 3 pick, 69. Which I- and so some good people. So we'll see what happens with the 2026 season.
Yeah, we picked basically all of our picks were defense, except for our last pick was a kicker, which we desperately need. But now we've got 3 kickers on the team, so there's going to be a little bit of a, competition. Thank God we need somebody that can kick.
I mean, you have one job when you're the kicker, and that gets hard.
And if you can't do that, then you're
out of here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, nothing exciting, nothing too exciting, I feel.
No,
Nothing out of the ordinary.
It's kind of a boring draft, to be honest with you.
Yeah, seems like it,
I mean, there were a couple, weird selections that we weren't expecting, like Jeremiah Love getting picked within the first 5. I didn't expect that to happen at all.
Mhm.
And who picked him? Who did he go to?
I don't know.
Oh gosh, it was a team I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, my attention level for this draft was not as good as it should have been.
As past years.
Yeah.
Yes. We were a little busy. We had
Mock trial.
Yep. So we'll discuss that a little bit later. So yeah, so NFL season, that's the first thing of the year that happens, and draft is done, and now we just wait for
Go Bears!
Go Pack Go.
I know we'll see what the season holds for us here, but
Yes.
so getting to our LLPs. Mentorship is important. We love mentorship. We love mentoring people in our field. And so, how do we even get here? How did our career start? Because we've been doing this for a while, as you know from our past podcasts. So how did you become a paralegal LLP?
My story is very interesting. So I actually was in the Air Force. I joined the Air Force when I graduated high school.
Oh, well, go.
And and I was actually a cop when I first went into the Air Force. So I did that for 4 years and then decided that it wasn't quite what I wanted to do. So I looked into retraining, and a couple options that I had available to me were, like desk jobs. One of them was paralegal. And I'm like, what the heck is a paralegal?
Mhm.
And I still didn't know what a paralegal was, but I still picked it because it sounded okay. And so I got trained through the Air Force, went through the JAG school down in Montgomery, Alabama, and got my training down there. Did 4 years as an Air Force paralegal. And then when I separated, I became a civilian paralegal. So I separated from the military in 2003. So I've been a civilian paralegal ever since, and just kind of dabbled in different practice areas until I finally found my home in family law.
Family was such a wonderful field.
It is, it is, it
Might be
is.
crazy, but here we are.
Well, yes, that's why I like it so much. So what about you? How did you get your start?
Yeah, well, I actually did look into military paralegal because I was a spouse, but that doesn't quite work. They usually give the priorities to the actual service members. But I always wanted to be in the legal field, even when I was in my apprenticeship back home. But when I got to the United States, I was like, let's just go to school. And so I went to school for legal assistant paralegal. I got my associate's degree, and I started working actually before I got done in 2003. So I've been a paralegal since 2003. Started off course, as an assistant, trying to do some of the phones, and you're just trying to find your niche. And then when I found family law, I was like, this is perfect. Look at this crazy every day.
It's almost like if you belong in family law, it calls to you.
Mhm.
It's just like I felt like in my career, all of the different practice areas. I started out in my civilian career in personal injury. Did that a lot, did a lot of litigation. I spent 5 years doing securities law, loved that.
Securities law.
And
Interesting.
then did some like bankruptcy, debtor, creditor. No offense to those of you that practice in those areas.
Absolutely
It
no,
was
yeah.
not for
But
me.
yeah, no, I agree.
But I always had a feeling like I belonged in family law. I just couldn't get my foot in the door with family law. And so it wasn't until I moved here to Colorado that I finally got that chance. So
Well, and when you get into the field, you almost need to have foot in. You need to know someone, right? In family law, you have to have a wish to help people, and not just the people that you're helping in your job, but also the people that you're working with, like your mentors, like your peers, I should say. And so, getting in the field, it really takes to knowing someone, right? And that usually does help getting in there. But once you're in, the community knows you, you get to know the community, you do networking. Networking is really important, I feel,
very
for our
important.
profession, for what you're becoming as legal assistant or paralegal. And it is good to kind of go there. Starting with a degree, of course, is good. You're going to college, getting at least an associate's bachelor's. That's what usually anyone's looking for in our field. So, in Colorado, obviously, there's some colleges, Colorado Springs, you have Pikes Peak State College, that offer these paralegal degrees, certificates. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to think what else we have out here. There was a few more, but some of them have closed down. What's in
Yeah,
Penn?
I think, well, I know down in Pueblo, they're starting, or they either have a program or they're starting a program.
Okay.
Um, or they're looking to, expand on their program. And I know that there's some colleges up in Denver too.
Yes. Right.
Like CCB has
Mhm.
a paralegal program up there too. So, that's the best way to, start is looking into one of those degree programs.
Right.
Another thing is a lot of times firms are very much wanting experience nowadays. And I think that experience goes further than a degree. And what I mean by that is if you're just starting out, they would prefer to have some experience over having a degree. Because you learn stuff in school, but it's not really the practical things that you need for day-to-day paralegaling, if you will.
Right.
And so, I always suggest to young folks when they're looking at our career field, start out in a law firm as a receptionist, get your foot in the door. Receptionists do, I consider the receptionist as the backbone of the firm. They're the ones that usually are, going through all of the prospects, potential clients, vetting through those
Mhm.
those those things, and that's how they learn.
Right.
And so that's a great place to start
It
is
really
as a
is.
receptionist.
Mhm. No, I agree 100% with that. And it gives you the experience you need to
Mhm.
kind of go out there because, even with a degree in a field like this, paralegal slash legal assistant, and then LLP, you need experience and you need to have the hands-on experience.
Yes.
It's not just the learning about it. You can be book smart, but you have to really be experienced in the field. And that can include being experienced in the field that you're working in, such as family law,
Right. And
criminal law.
that's what I was
Mhm.
gonna say after
Mhm.
you is that there's so many practice areas that,
Right.
I mean, even though Jessica and I have been doing this since, dirt was created,
Dinosaurs.
dinosaurs, there's areas of the law that we haven't
Mhm.
practiced in
Mhm.
that if we were to do that, we could probably pick it up, but there's no way we could just jump in like IP or anything like that.
Yeah.
I couldn't, there's no way I could.
Mhm.
I'd be like, what?
Mhm. Right.
Because even the terminology between the different,
Right.
practice areas is the thing. So,
I agree with that. And sometimes when we have terminology, in our field, sometimes people get confused as well. Like in
mhm,
Colorado Springs, we have a lot of military. And so we have the
mhm,
military lingo down here that some of the Denver people don't have or are not experienced with, I should say. And so, of course, we will always share our knowledge with people. And that's what we're always very happy to do with other paralegals. That's why we're part of the paralegal organization with other LLPs. That's why we're leading the LLPs because we just want to make sure that people get the education and the information and the mentorship as well as the networking out there. And so we're always out there talking to people, managing things, but it's kind of important. And so once you're, going through the legal assistant paralegal program and you then want to go to the LLP program, which is the licensed legal paraprofessional, which is part of our podcast and what we're doing, it is just another step up. And that has been obviously a little bit of a process for us,
a little bit of,
it's interesting because we're the first class, and so we're just trying to settle into that. And so when we did this mock trial this last Friday, which was just a great experience, and that's the hand-on stuff you need, right? You don't get the courtroom experience if you're not in there. Now, we've been with our attorneys, but we've never been up there really, or not. Most of us hasn't haven't been up there doing the things. Now we are doing, examination of witnesses, cross-examination, putting on a case, opening, closing statements, if you're allowed. And so it was a great experience, and we had about 20 participants.
mhm,
So we had 4 teams, and everyone did just wonderful. And we had 2 trials actually because 2 teams each.
mhm.
And so it was a wonderful experience. I feel it was stressful as
It
well.
was very stressful. It was very stressful, but like you said, it was cool to see, just how it was the same case study that we used for both of the
Mhm.
trials, but both trials were different. It
It
was
was.
it was interesting to see how each team presented
Yeah.
their, it was really neat to see that.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really and that just goes again with the mentorship, right? And
Hmm.
we mentored each other through this process. And we supported our peers, we supported each other. And I think this will give us a better understanding of what we're doing out here. Which we already know, we have the experience, 23, that's 23 years? About
A lot.
many years. I
Yeah,
know, pretty
a
much.
lot.
But like I said, we are always open to talking to anyone about mentorship. I really get excited when someone emails me and says, "Hey, I'm trying to get started as a paralegal in Colorado Springs. What do I need to do?" Like,
Mhm.
well, let me hold your hand and help you.
Yeah.
When I say hold your hand, not like, lead them to it, but like say,
No,
"Hey,
she's literally following people around holding their hands.
come here." So, just like, taking them to networking
Yeah,
events,
yeah,
taking them to volunteer events. That's a good one.
yes.
Family Law Day coming up here soon,
Yep.
June 12th at the courthouse. That will be a good resource. Also when people come to us and say, "Hey, I'm looking for a family law attorney, but who do we do? What is this LLP thing? Tell me more about it." There's a misconception that paralegals can help in a case like an attorney. They can't. They can't give legal advice to this, that like kind of full stop, right? But the LLPs can, licensed legal paraprofessionals. We can do that. We have a license, which because it's so new, we have to explain a lot,
Even to attorneys.
a lot.
I think we're explaining more to attorneys than we are to
Yeah.
the public, which is,
No offense.
it's a battle. It's a battle.
Yeah. It's new.
It's new. And so, sometimes there's growing pains with new things,
Mhm.
and some people don't like change. And there's been a lot of change. Even within our licensure, there's been change in the
Yeah,
last two
just
years.
yeah.
So, there's so much going on, and we're all trying to just, roll with the punches and,
Yeah, one of the great things that Judge said, the mock trial Friday was like, can you even believe we are here 2 years later, right? Here we are. You would have never thought of this, right?
mhm.
And so that was kind of a good reminder to be like, hey, we've come so far,
Yes.
we've done so much, and now we're here just educating, right? And
Mhm.
so if you have any questions, just comment below. We're always happy to answer any comments, any questions you have about the profession, about family law, about anything that you might need in the field where you're like, I'm not sure what I should do here with this. Where do I go? Who do I call? We're always there. We work in also with organizations sometimes like TESA, CASA, those organizations that sometimes are needed in ca our cases. You have to bring a certain personality to family law,
Yes.
patience, kindness, caring.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to kind of have a twisted sense of humor.
We don't have that.
Um, that little giggle. No, but I think it's just because the nature of the information and things that we deal with on a daily basis, we have to be able to take a step back and just be able to laugh at ourselves. And because it's just so, what am I thinking? What's the word I'm thinking of? It's just so heavy
It is.
sometimes.
It is. It is
It's
sometimes
just
really. It can be.
it can be a very, very heavy field to be in.
Right.
So you have to take a step back and remember that this is your client's life. And you need to focus on that, but not on your personal time. So there's a lot of,
Yeah, and it is serious, even though we're joking a little bit here and
yeah.
there, but it is really a serious subject. We don't want to take from that.
Hmm.
But yeah, it is so important to be here now. The mentorship part also goes for, calling your friends when you have a question,
Hmm.
like, hey, what do you think about this? Or hey, what do you think about that? And so I call certain people, obviously I always lean heavily on my attorney as well because, we work together forever and, we have a
Hmm.
very good, like, hey, what do you think about that? And so that's kind of nice. And as we're finding our footing in the field,
Yes.
especially. So, those kind of mentorships are just priceless.
Yes, for
And
sure. And not just with the LLPs, but paralegals too.
absolutely.
Like you had touched on earlier, when people reach out to you and, kind of ask you, how do I get into the field? What do I got to do? These kinds of things. People do the same with me. I try to, schedule coffee dates with people
Yep,
and
definitely.
get them in contact with people that I think maybe could help them further. That kind of goes along with the networking stuff. Jessica and I network quite a bit, so we know a lot of people, and know, pretty much who to direct these people
Right.
to get them to, the,
Yeah.
the the resources that they need
Right.
to be able to proceed forward.
Yeah,
So,
and we work with a lot of pro bono resources
mhm.
too, Access to Justice Committee, Justice Center, just trying to give back to the community, help some of these pro bono efforts, take on some pro bono cases, hopefully,
Mhm.
if we can. Obviously, caseloads sometimes don't allow it, but we really
Mhm.
do try to be out there. And again, Family Law Day, the law days, anything like that, just kind of trying to bring people in, to the field as well as in helping them through their cases.
Mhm.
Now, I think you said something about high school the other day where you're like, we're starting at the level of high school, kind of recruiting people.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
we have several committees all around the state, and a lot of them are kind of committees, like the LLP Education and Outreach Committee, and they reach out to the high schools. They will do presentations at the high school level, because a lot of times, we know how the students are nowadays. A lot of the schools are doing kind of like I don't know what they call it, where you can get college credit while getting your high school credits.
Oh, yes, they
And
do.
some of them
Yes,
can,
that's,
you can
mhm.
graduate with an associate's degree, which is
Yeah,
fantastic.
I heard about that.
Um, and so we want to reach these students before they make that,
Mhm.
that career choice. Because a lot of people, when you think of going into the legal field, when you're in high school, you're thinking lawyer. That's all
Mhm.
you're thinking about. Um, but there's so much more. And, the support staff legal assistant, admin assistant, paralegal, all of those things are so crucial to any law firm or any attorney. I mean, an attorney can't do what they do without us doing what we do.
Right.
And so it's very important for these people to know. And now with this new licensure, the LLPs, they have another avenue that they can look forward to. So it's important for us to get out there. We want to make sure that this career field is thriving and we have a new, pool of people coming up. Because eventually those of us that are old
Yeah.
are going to
For yourself.
are going to eventually retire. And we need to bring people up behind us and make sure that that pipeline is still.
You said this several times over the last week about retirement. What is this?
I don't know. I'm not retiring anytime soon.
I don't
I'm just
think so.
thinking though
Shouldn't be
that
thinking.
I'm just thinking though that eventually we'll retire, right?
Maybe. I don't
Hopefully.
know.
I don't know.
Seems like an endless job.
I mean, it does, but it's rewarding too. So
It is. It is.
we joke about how stressful it is, and it is stressful, but it's very rewarding. It's, just to be able to see the lives that you touch on a daily basis,
Yeah.
and the families that you're helping. It's very touching.
Yeah.
It
It really is because, people always like, I want to win in court. And in family law, that really doesn't apply.
Nobody wins in
Don't
family court.
win.
Yeah.
I mean, you make little, have
You
little
make concessions, concessions back and forth, but nobody wins in
no, and
family court.
especially the kids, they're the most that suffer. So you always have to kind of go through that. And we're learning things on them. We have experience with that. Adverse childhood, what is it called? Adverse childhood. I can't think of it now, but just the experiences of kids going through divorce after, bad experience with that because you going through a divorce does kind of affect kids negatively.
Oh, sure.
So you have to do it the right way. Now, divorces are more common now than they were 20 years ago,
Right.
but now it's more a common thing that parents are divorced.
Yeah.
But going through that is kind of, we're helping people along the way. And we're doing it on the legal level to getting them through the legal process. So
Yeah, it's really hard. And I'm a product of divorce. And my husband and I, he has kids from previous marriage, so they're a product of divorce. So, I've seen it from different levels and now seeing it professionally too. It's important to make sure that the kids are taken care of and that they're most of them are still at that developmental age where, one small thing could really, affect their whole adulthood. And so that's important that we focus on that.
Yeah. And we had that in our mock trial, so it was kind of interesting to see that play out. And it's just important, co-parenting and such things. And giving that experience to our clients is important. And teaching each other that, is important.
Yeah.
And so either if you're a paralegal or an LLP. So
or even an attorney.
Yeah, or even an attorney. I know. Yeah, sometimes we all can learn a little bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah, as things change too, and experts aren't always cheap to get on board for cases.
They're not. They're not. But sometimes they're necessary.
They are necessary.
It's heartbreaking when you have to have a case where you have to have an expert. But sometimes it's not necessary and. It's for the children's best interest, so you have to do what you have to do.
We do it, yeah. So, but yeah, I think I'm very happy to mentor anyone. I think you are as well. We're happy to be here to our organizations. If you, like I said, have questions, just mention it below. We'll get those answers to you. And I think that kind of covers our mentorship episode.
Yeah, and just real quick, if anyone is thinking about becoming a legal assistant, paralegal, or anything like that. If you're just starting out or you're just starting in school, please feel free to reach out to us. We have, like we said earlier, we have connections that we can get you in contact with. We can mentor you ourselves. We have other people that are willing to mentor. And we're really excited because our next episode, we have two very, very, very important individuals that are kind of the backbone of the LLP program.
Very strong driving force.
Very strong driving force. We have retired Judge Angela Arkin and Amy Gosha, who is a partner at her firm. And so they will be our next
our May episode.
Our May episode. So
we look forward.
We're very excited to have them.
Yeah.
So please tune in for that one. You will get some information of how the program started. Way back in when were they talking? 2020, I think they started.
Yeah.
talking about it. And all of the things that they had to do to get this program up and running.
Yeah.
So
It took a lot of effort to get where we are today.
a lot of effort.
And we have to thank them for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much for listening to us today. We'll be back next month. If you have any questions, like I said, comment below and subscribe always. And like I always say, go Bears.
Go Pack Go.